All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have the Dark Horse Racing Area 51 Racing Series here tonight at Michigan. 100 laps is going to be our race distance this evening. So right now, drivers pulling up their qualifying laps. And say, speaking of qualifying laps, we're going to hop on board with our own Steve Gottschalk in that number 051 car. So you see he's rolling out on the track right now. So Steve, I say, obviously qualifying a whole different animal than race. Take us through what we should be expecting to see here tonight.
As far as qualifying, I don't know what kind of times they're going to put down, but you could go flat out all the way around in sixth gear, and I think that's the way you're going to have to do it. And I'm doing it like a Talladega kind of qual. I'm going to do the high line all the way around for the first lap, and then the second lap I'm going to try and do as low as I can, kind of remembering what these guys did here last time.
Yeah, exactly right. So this is obviously a nice and wide track. So I know you did some practice laps as well. So say while you're doing the warm-up lap, what were you experiencing on with the aero push and obviously having a wide track? What were you feeling? Was there a preferred place that you like to be in that pack this evening?
It's going to be crazy. I mean, you can basically run anywhere on the track that you want. If you get a tow from somebody, the draft is really strong. So, hang on. I was having that wandering down the front straight thing.
Yeah, and that's going to be a great thing you mentioned there, Stevie. We saw the car just kind of have that bobble, like you're talking about through the front stretch there. Kind of, it's real. It seems real twitchy if you kind of run the seam. I think that's going to be a very crucial spot. And then I say something we also have noticed. I've noticed as well when I did a practice race here a few weeks back. It's very easy to enter too low, and you're going to kind of hit that apron difference, or I should say banking difference between that first seam and the second seam. So you can kind of see how this track has got a lot of different seams on it. And by the way, you're going to have to pay for those car repairs here, Steve. So just a warning on that one. That's coming out of your paycheck tonight.
Oh, boy. Well, I definitely did something wrong because I did a 32.7 on that one. And I know I did a 32.64 when I was in practice.
Well, I think you might have been spot on there. What you mentioned there with the bobble you were talking about, say that those little bit of wheel inputs. I mean, that's going to really put a big strain on things for these guys. So, I think, like I said, Steve, I think qualifying is going to be very critical. I think track position will be important, but it's going to be very interesting to see. So again, 100 laps here. Fuel window sounds like it's going to be in the probably around mid 20s. Some drivers might be able to go a little further than others. All depends on where they are in track, and of course, as we mentioned, week in and week out, we're going to be doing, let's say, always have the fuel map adjustments, things like that. So it's going to be really exciting to kind of see what adjustments that these drivers are going to be kind of running throughout the race. And the other thing I want to mention, with the Dark Horse Racing Series partnership that we've got, I'll say we're not just broadcasting here on YouTube with Green White Checkered TV. I'll say we're also with ESTV on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch as well. I say really want to thank the guys with ESTV to help get everything set up. It's going to be a lot of fun. You definitely want to check them out as well. You can say just search for my ESTV. I believe it's estv.co as well if you want to find their website. I say because they have a lot of options, so you can even do streaming. So if you want to watch this on your Roku device, things like that, they've got options for there. So it's really cool to see kind of ESTV really trying to bring like the esports and gaming systems, be able to actually watch them. Not just on your computer, but on your TV device as well. So really cool of them, and really looking forward to working with them. It's been a great group of guys that I've been able to work with so far. And of course, that partnership with Dark Horse has always been a lot of fun as well. So there's gonna be a lot of fun things coming up here with this Tuesday series.
Okay, now that I'm parked, I can give a better description of what it's going to be like in race mode. The race setup is really comfortable. You can basically put it anywhere on the track you want. These guys are going to be running 2 and 3 wide the whole race. The draft is incredible. I mean, the closing rate is super fast. So you're going to have to be careful not to close on somebody so fast that you run into them. Um, and as I mentioned, on the front straight, there's just something that goes on there in the low line that wants to pull your car down onto the apron. And if you do get pulled down there, there's a good chance you're going to lose control. And the only other thing I noticed was in turns 1 and 2, when you have a lot of aero push from having a lot of cars in front of you, you may have to back off just a teeny bit so that you don't push into the wall when you're exiting the turn. But I think this is going to be very racy, and we're going to see a lot of 3 wide and a lot of lead changes. It's going to be like a Talladega race for the Cup cars.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to see. I think you're right. I think it's going to be very dicey here tonight. So with that, we got to go over our starting grid for tonight's event here, Steve.
Let's do it.
And so on our starting position, so on the pole position, he missed last week. He's not going to miss this week, and I say he's going to show that he's going to be a force to be reckoned with week in and week out, and that's going to be that 007 of Henry Bennett, our Season 7 champion. Next to him is going to be the 89 of Nick DeGroot, Kevin DeBrown in the third spot, Matt Wagner 4, Jack Walls rounding out our top 5. And you see 6th through 10th there. You've got Alec Coates, Aiden Hill, Craig Forsyth, Don Runkle Jr., Yari Brupacher, and then 11th through 18th, or 11th through 17th, I should say, drivers that put down a lap. You got David Leclerc, Gary Corley, Todd Merkel, Benjamin Combs, David Payton, Bud Steele, and Eric Schaus. And of course, a lot of drivers here, Steve, opting not to put down a qualifying time tonight. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that one's going to roll out here. So I'll say the drivers that did not put down a time, yourself is one of them. You got Jeff Heisong, James Ledford, Joseph Morales, Chris Jabot, Mike Rigney, Chris Matthews, Jim Brooks, Todd Kirkwood, and Joseph DeCiro.
And I see John Burrell down there too.
Yeah, I don't know why I wasn't showing John Burrell on my list there initially. And say we do. And one thing to mention, I didn't mention last week, is we are this series. It's running a little different. There is not an in-race, or say we're not using the iRacing default cautions. We'll have an in-race admin tonight, and throughout the season is the plan for that. So basically, he's going to be the one watching. He's kind of the eye in the sky. See if he's going to watch what's going on. If there's anything that, like if there's a spin, if it's like maybe one of those little simple spins off to the inside, maybe the yellow doesn't come out. Because we've all had issues where sometimes maybe there's a little spin that throws a caution that really didn't need to be one. And there's, of course, incidents where it's a big incident but goes down to the apron where there should be a yellow, but they don't throw them. So that's that's going to be another one of those things. And, of course, it also holds drivers accountable. If they cause an incident, they might get that end of longest line penalty. So, kind of as things happen, kind of a quick response from the in-race admin, eye in the sky, basically. So I think it's going to really help things out. So I know there's a lot of times where we feel like we've been kind of wronged by somebody who doesn't get penalized for it, maybe in a future race. But it's always nice to kind of have that instant response, if you will.
And this is one of the biggest fields that we've had all year. We've got 29 cars.
Yeah, right now it looks like 26 on track that are going to take the green here. So I see Mike Rigney has not taken the grid, so we'll see if we get to 27. However, you see a pace car just about to duck on in, and green flag is down and away. Henry Bennett on the inside, Nick DeGroot to the outside. We are underway here at Michigan. So this is going to be the first I think critical spot here, Steve, is just cold tires, just two by two getting up to speed. As I said, you got one spinning on the inside. Yeah, we're going to have contact. Quick yellow there to start things off, Steve. That's what I was worried about. And you see a lot of cars getting caught up in this one. I'll say it was a pretty big wreck right to kick things off with a lot of cars involved. On my list, I see, it looks like, unfortunately, Eric Schaus, Todd Merkel, James Ledford, Don Runkle Jr., Todd Kirkwood. It looks like all these drivers getting caught up in it. So see if we can hunt back and see where this all kicked off, because unfortunately it was pretty early, and I think it was maybe a couple incidents at once there.
I think, is that Aiden Hill?
So I see
the
one
black and red car lost it coming off at turn 2.
Yeah, there's a couple cars kind of all having issues. Eric Schaus was one. You see him trying to catch that car, and unfortunately just right into the path. I believe that's of James Ledford. A little further up, we had mentioned about Todd Merkel. He was around as well. And then, like you said, there was somebody towards the front there. Who did you say it was? Aiden Hill, you believe, Steve? Oh, yeah,
I
you're
think
right.
so.
Aiden Hill looping around. You're right. Exactly right there, Steve, off of turn two. So basically about three separate incidents there. And like I mentioned, a few drivers involved. You see the 00 Don Ruckle Jr., unfortunately, he got caught up in that one as well. And then we saw James Ledford, Todd Kirkwoods in that pile as well. Here we mentioned Eric Schaus. So looks like probably about 5 or 6 cars right off the bat, Steve. It's going to be a rough start for a lot of these guys. Not what they're hoping for by any means. That was my concern. Is that was going to be, I felt like, kind of the trouble spot to kind of kick things off here right off the bat.
Yeah, you definitely called that one right, and I assume that's probably because of cold tires.
Yeah, I think it's a combo of cold tires and of course kind of just being all grouped up with one another. So yeah, so it's gonna be a tough one to do. So the one thing that again these drivers do have say it's not all lost for these guys to say there are obviously we have the faster repair, so these guys have one more chance if their cars got too damaged. They can go ahead and get that fast repair. And say some drivers might have to work on getting a lap or more back, unfortunately. So we'll have to keep an eye and see kind of who's able to benefit from those as well as this race progresses.
I'm looking at Eric Schaus's mistake, and that's a very rare and unusual mistake that he made there. Just looks like he just got loose going into turn one, and it shot him down onto the apron, and unfortunately then he lost control, came up in front of a bunch of other cars.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. Like you said, one of those unfortunate situations that happens from time to time. And I mean, it like you said, I mean they're not fully up to speed. I mean these cars they'll be going about 220 plus most likely. So I say while they're still getting all the way up to speed, like say cold tires, full of fuel as well, so the car's a little heavier. So yeah, it's just kind of that full combination that just makes things that much more difficult for these guys. So not the start that a lot of those guys are hoping for, but. So I'm sure what's going to help, though, I feel like a little bit, Steve, is let's say this next restart. It's going to be a single file restart. So say now the next question is, of course, you don't have to worry about the double file, but you got to worry about the accordion effect, like we've talked about before. It's always one that's kind of a risky one from time to time.
Yeah, definitely. Although I think that I heard one of the admins asking them to leave a little extra distance tonight.
Yeah, because I mean, we did see, unfortunately, we had a bit of an accordion effect last week, and you're right, so that's where you have to kind of make those adjustments for that. And so we're getting a little bit of insider info as well, Steve, which is always nice to have. Say one of our most dedicated viewers, the wife of Eric Schaus, Rachel, say unfortunately had some sort of issue on the brake, so say kind of caused the back end to step out. So like you said, it was kind of a weird situation for Eric to have, and sounds like unfortunately some mechanical hardware issue on the pedal system. And definitely, Rachel, we are wishing you the best on your for what you got going on tomorrow night. I know, what you're able to do with those babies and taking care of them and bringing or delivering happy, healthy babies. Just I don't think I would have the ability to do what you do. So just really, really appreciate everything you do, and you got this tomorrow, Rachel. No worries. I believe in you, and I know Steve does too.
Oh, what am I missing?
Oh, she's got some work to do tomorrow, so she's having to do some pretty big studying right now.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna restart this thing here, Steve, on lap number 5. I don't think this changes fuel strategy too much for any of the guys. It doesn't look like too many pitted there either. So what this will do, like I mentioned, it's gonna bring this thing back into the hands of Henry Bennett, and now he has control of the restart. And you can see he is already down and away. Gets a nice little jump over that 93 of Kevin DeBrown. And you can see towards the back there, Steve, everybody looks like they're definitely taking into account what the admins had mentioned. You see a nice gap between all the drivers here on this restart.
Excellent. Yeah, it's I mean, at a track like this where there's such an incredible aero and closing rate, you can afford to lay back a little bit. You know, we're going to see the top 4 cars have pulled away, but I don't think it's going to take long for the next pack to catch them.
Yeah, you're right. So right now we got that 4-car breakaway. Up now into second position is that 89 of Nick DeGroot. It looks like he's going to try to get the lead that time by, I think, just maybe a thousandth or so off from getting it. I'll say he's going to want that couple of thousandths come lap 100 here tonight. Unfortunately, on the wrong side of that 2 1,000ths finish between himself and Matt Wagner last week. So he's going to be hope to get himself in back position. So what you see right now, though, Steve, you see you see Henry Bennett, you see Nick DeGroot. Say it's kind of what I always call leapfrog here, and that's the way these Indy cars are. This is the way to run fast here. So you can't, obviously there's no bumpers, you can't really tandem draft anything like that. So you got to do this slingshot move. And like I said, you got this 4-car breakaway. All of these guys working together right now. You see Matt Wagner in there, Kevin DeBrown doing the same. So let's say I think these guys are trying to find a way to keep that distance from from fifth on back, which is now being led by Craig Forsyth. But like you said, Steve, I don't think they're going to keep that gap. These guys are going to be reeling them in here pretty shortly.
Yeah, I have no doubt about that. And what you were saying about the leapfrog, the car that's in second, third, and fourth, they get such a run on the car that's in first that you have a choice between either, severely letting off the gas and losing all that momentum, or diving to the inside like you see the second place person doing every time they get a run.
Yeah, so saying this is kind of that you have two approaches here you can do. So you can do like these guys are doing here, and like I said, just kind of leapfrogging one another, basically taking that momentum, making the pass, and you can see these guys are just working together right now. You see that second pack, they've definitely caught right back up there. Jack Walls, he's leading that charge now. But say the other thing you could do is, if you're like I'm watching right now, is that 93 of Kevin DeBrown. As soon as I say that, of course, he jumps to the inside. But what I was going to mention is one thing we talk about week in, week out is going to be fuel mapping. So if these guys are running map number 1, they're full rich. They're going to be going, basically they're giving that engine everything it's got. But you could use the draft here. You could fall back to maybe a map 3, a map 5, and go real aggressive on the fuel saving. Maybe get those couple of extra laps in. So maybe you never know if that's going to come into play here. If you can maybe use that to pit a few laps later, and then maybe make that final stop just that little bit shorter to play a difference in the end of this thing.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I mean, the draft is so critical here, and you could potentially lower your raise the fuel map, and not lose the draft, and still have the same kind of momentum.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So right now you see we've got a gaggle up front right now. It is getting busy up front. Now you have to wonder, are any of these guys kind of be like, all right, this might be a little much for what I'm looking for right here, and see if anybody rolls up. But right now these guys are dicing it up and then some. So I would say right now you've got Nick DeGroot back to the point. As I say that, I think the 93 of Kevin Brown just caught the wall there off of in 1 and 2. So he's able to keep it in the right direction. Don't know if he's got any suspension damage to that car. See if we can take a quick look and see what happened there to that number 93 here.
I think Henry Bennett just drifted up a teeny bit into Kevin DeBrown. It looked like they touched.
Let's go back on the entry and you'll see. Actually, I think it's Matt Wagner to the inside. We'll take a look here as they go through 1 and 2. Kevin comes down. Yeah, just a little bit of contact between the two of them. You can see Kevin does make pretty decent contact with that outside wall. So you're probably right, Steve. I do think that probably is going to give him a little bit of suspension damage. And actually, as I say that, he's hitting pit road now. So I think that answers that question. He's having to go off strategy here and try to see if trying to use that. Unfortunately, I have to use that fast repair early. So he's going to have a pretty big climb here to go the rest of the way. So right now, back up front is Nick DeGroot again in that 89 car. But drivers that are kind of show their hand here again. Craig Forsyth, we mentioned him. He's now back up into this pile here. Right behind him, David Leclerc. He is in that number 50 in the 5th position right now. And right behind him, you've got Gary Corley, Alec Coates. Say a lot of these guys we kind of expect to see up front have some good runs. And then right now moving their way up into the top 10 as well as David Payton in that 38 car. And then to his outside right now, pretty much the biggest mover of the race here, Steve, is the 51 of Jim Brooks. He is plus 17 from his starting spot. And then kind of following along with him is that number 24 of Chris Jabot. He's plus 12. He's just cracked the top 10 here as well.
Yeah, Chris had a hell of a run going last week until he apparently decided to pit for fresh tires when nobody else did near the end of the race, and lost his track position and just couldn't get it back.
Yes, and it's kind of a crapshoot. What's the right call? Is it going to be track position? Is it going to be tires? I say we know some tires are a little bit more abrasive or some tracks I should say are a little more abrasive than others. So you never know when's going to be the right call to make those gambles. Unfortunately, say that strategy didn't work from last week. So the question is, if he gets himself in the same opportunity tonight, does he make that adjustment and maybe think about, okay, you know what? I tried the tire strategy, didn't work last time. This week, I'm going fuel strategy. I want to try to get in that top 3, top 5 position and have a chance at the win at the end. So right now we got about 2 packs here, Steve. It looks like the 11 of Jeff Hysong. He's just kind of cruising on the back of these guys. And again, me being the way I am, I love right now where Jeff Hysong is. This is where I feel like you just find where the clean air is, try to kind of keep as much clean air on your nose, and then just save fuel here. Just run map 3, map 5, whatever's the max you can do without burning, without losing the lead pack here, and just save your tires, save your fuel, let these guys keep fighting it out like they are. And I think David Payton, I think he's kind of thinking the same there in that 38. He's usually a pretty good strategy. Usually has pretty good strategy in that car as well, but say they've been able to separate themselves from 12th though. That's going to be now, you got just a small 3-car pack actually. You've got Benjamin Combs, Gary Brupacher, and Bud Steele. So their goal here, Steve, is they got to start doing the leapfrog game if they want to try to see if they can close that gap with just the 3 of them. And then it goes even a little further back now to the next group being led by Aiden Hill. Oh, where are we at, Steve? What we got? Oh,
he's out. Big wreck. Right up front.
Yeah, Gary Corley. Oh, yeah, you can see the drivers up here trying to avoid the damage. Oh, Craig Forsyth's in it. I think I saw David Leclerc as well. Gary Corley. Oh, Chris Jabot's in it as well. Here, I just saw him involved. I couldn't tell who the other car was that was involved there with him. But unfortunately, I think it was Alec Coates, actually. So we are back under yellow. A lot of cars got caught up in this one. Let's try to see if we can find exactly where this all kicked off here. Go back and take a look. We're watching Craig here. And I think it's Gary Corley to his inside here down the back stretch. Oh, they actually just kind of drift into one another there, Steve. Entering turn number 3 on the straightaway, actually, and then you see Craig has some. Yeah. Oh, actually, Jim Brooks might catch a little piece of that as well. And then you can see everybody's trying to duck to the inside. It looked like Chris Chabot had a miss there, but you can see a car steps out on me. That's where he gets into the back of Alec Coates. So unfortunately, there was about 5 cars at least involved, possibly 6 with Jim Brooks as well. So you see all these guys kind of pinned up against the wall here, unfortunately.
That's definitely a bummer if Jim and Chris, after the big gains that they made, got caught up in that.
Yeah, so I said we'll jump back live because we got pit stops here, Steve, with our lead pack. I don't think we're going to see too many drivers gamble here and maybe stay out for a lap or anything like that. I think we're going to see everybody go ahead and take tires and fuel. Question is going to be who is able to benefit from this caution, because we know Kevin had to pit off cycle to be able to try to hopefully get his lap back. You see Matt Wagner, he's going to win the race off of pit road. A very quick stop for that 11 car. So I'm trying to see if that may have been a fuel only stop. I think it was based on the pit time there. So I think Matt doing a little bit of gambling there, going fuel only. And then you see it looks like the 93 Kevin Brown, he does get the wave round, so he's back on the lead lap now in that 93. And I believe we see some strategy unfolding a little bit there just in front of him. You got Joseph DeCiro, Eric Schaus. They're going to try to get at least one of their laps back here, Steve. So I'm trying to see exactly how many laps down they are at the moment, and I think Joseph DeCiro, this will get him back on the lead lap with this wave round, and I believe this will put Eric Schaus from 2 down back to 1 down, and more importantly also be the only car 1 down, which will put him in a great position should we get another yellow.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing on my thing.
All right, so that's our second yellow here on lap number 19. Now going to be coming around to 20. So now I'm thinking fuel again, Steve. We talked about the fuel window being around that 25 or so mark. So now the question is, can anybody save to maybe run the extra 5 or so laps? If they could get to lap, let's say 50, that could get them onto a 2-stop strategy here to the end. If they can make it to basically get to 50, then you got, of course, then 75, and then that'll get you to the end at 100. Of course, this is all pending it staying green. What you see there goes Eric Schaus. He's going to get one of those laps back, as does Joseph DeCiro. He's going to go drive on right by. And you see one car just snuck out of the pits there, I believe, in front of the pace car. So he's going to save himself a lap there. That's going to be Craig Forsyth, or I'm sorry, David Leclerc. Apologies. So he's just going to hang on to that lead pack. And I think that's only going to cost him. Actually, I think it's only going to bring him down to 1 lap instead of 2 laps down. So that's huge for these guys. So we actually going to have a really big fight here, Steve, to see who's going to be that first car 1 lap down. Should we get another caution?
Yeah, definitely. And the way things are going, I suspect we're going to get another caution.
It's definitely getting pretty busy. It's dicey up front. So, however, up front, it's going to be Matt Wagner in that number 11 leading the way. And behind him, our pole sitter, Henry Bennett. In third is Nick DeGroot. So I think we're going to see a lot of these drivers throughout the season. In the fourth position, Jeff Heisong. He's plus 15 from his starting spot. So great run for Jeff thus far. And then rounding up the top five, we just mentioned a little earlier, Yari Brupacher. He is plus 5 from his starting spot. And then whatever happened with Jim Brooks, I mean, he's still in 6 spots. So maybe we talked about netcode. Maybe it's something that may have saved him a little bit. So we'll have to kind of keep an eye and see. However, we're going to see that pace car duck off here, Steve, and we're going to get back going here on lap number 21.
And with the 2 green cars, Matt Wagner and Henry Bennett leading the charge.
Yeah, I say green is definitely the theme of the season. I feel like with the Indy Series, I say some Area 51 sponsored, some not, but we got a lot of green in the field with this Indy Series. So I say a lot of good-looking cars, and I say we just have a lot of green sponsors too. I say we obviously with Green White Checkered TV, you've got Area 51, they've got their green logo. ESTV has a nice little green logo that we've been using as well. So I say there's a little bit of everything throughout this group here. So you see right off the bat, though, Henry Bennett got a big run on the momentum. That's what we saw Matt Wagner. I mean, that's how he got that win last week, Steve. He got that huge toe, was able to then get around the 89 of Nick DeGroot. And so that's going to be something these guys will have to be kind of on their toes for those potential late restarts. So right now, top 4, slight breakaway. But let's say a little further back, though, you've got Jim Brooks there. I think he's starting to lead the second pack. It looks like he's working with Yari Brupacher. See if the 2 of them can grab back on the toe, and I think they'll be all right. They're only about a second off of Jeff Heisong, so I think they should be able to pull right back in as well. And then same thing goes for just behind them. You got Benjamin Combs there, Aiden Hill, David Payton, Bud Steele rounding out our top 10. So kind of a couple little packs here that we're going to see in a few laps, so I think they're going to find their way all bunched back together.
Yeah, I think so too.
However, I think the biggest beneficiary from that caution is that 93 Kevin Brown. He's back in the thick of it here, and it looks like he's wasting no time. He's not he knows he uses faster pair, but he's not gonna. He's not one to really ride, Steve. He just kind of wants to be up front, wants to be in contention for these races. So you see he's trying to get around Chris Matthews there in the 92 car. It looks like Chris might be giving the top line there to go ahead and take that spot. So I think Chris, again, I say obviously know both these guys very well. So I know Chris, he's more of a long game player, just tries to put himself in that good position. Kevin, he likes to be up front. He likes to control these races from lap 1 to lap 100. So I think we're seeing that right there.
Yeah, Kevin definitely scores high on the aggressive driving scale.
So he's going to have plenty of those to work his way through. And I see he's got a gaggle in front of him here. You see Benjamin Combs there on the inside. You got Jack Walls is right there as well. David Payton, Bud Steele, Todd Merkel. So it's definitely a pretty tight-packed group right here. You see Kevin kind of go, as he say that. You see Benjamin Combs got loose off of 2, hung onto it somehow. Great driving that 77 car. That could have been a big wreck, say, if he wasn't able to catch it like he did.
Yeah, absolutely. So the 2 cars that you said were going to catch the lead pack did catch the lead pack. So we got 6 cars on the lead pack, and this pack, the second pack, I think there's still a pretty good gap, but I think they're going to catch them eventually.
So the car I'm watching right now is that 49 Yari Brupacher. I think he's doing what I would be doing as well. You want to be in the draft, you want to be in this main pack. But I think he's just right now finding that clean air, keeping his nose clean, and then just saving fuel as much as he can. Again, unfortunately, we don't know what kind of fuel map he's running. As I say that, of course, he gets a big run. Oh, but as he said, as you see right there, he caught Nick DeGroot there, got a big run on him, but he just rolls right out of it. So I think he is trying to save a little bit of fuel in that 49 machine. So it's going to be fun to see what kind of strategies we're going to see unfold here if we get that long green flag run like we're pretty used to seeing here at this league.
Well, I think, you and I are very similar in our approach. We would more likely sit back, save fuel, let the guys ahead of us, race and be aggressive and make mistakes, and just hope that we miss it when they do.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, and where Yari is, I mean, he's in a good spot. 'Cause you can see he's got about a couple of car lengths between himself and Nick DeGroot here. I think Nick's doing the same thing here. You see, he isn't really doing that leapfrog game anymore. I think he's going full fuel save. I think it's just what we talked about, Steve. We saw that caution. It came out right on the edge of maybe making a two-stop race, and I think that's what's on his mind right now. He said, hey, if we go green, this is his two-stopper if I can save the fuel for it. And we know, I mean, you think about right now these drivers, how fast they're going. I mean, they're running 32-second lap times right now at a 2-mile track. So the lap time's very quick for these guys. So I think he's working that fuel number as well in that number 89 machine.
Yeah, the only problem with, at a track like this with working the fuel mileage like that, if you happen to be the only one that's done a good job of saving fuel and you end up staying out by yourself when everybody else pits, your lap time by yourself is so much slower than when you're in a pack of cars like Yari is right now. That
is a good point.
Yeah, it's not going to help him.
And you can see it looks like, I think we're getting to that point where nobody's really wanting to lead again. And I think what's also really hurting right now is you see, unfortunately, Jeff Hisong's having some connection issues. And I think you see right there, he's kind of working the top side here. I think he's trying to make sure he can stay out of the way. Doesn't want to affect the outcome here. So I think what he's going to do here, I suspect, as I say, that caution is out here, Steve. And I think it is towards the back of the pack, trying to see exactly where it may have kicked off here. Unfortunately, I think it may have been the 93 of Kevin DeBrown once more here. Let's go back and take a look. And I actually see another driver with some connectivity issues on the inside there. You see Kevin there on the inside. So we'll watch him.
Something happened that caused him to lose a lot of momentum, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it was just the whatever the connectivity issue we saw in front of him, maybe caught a piece of debris. And unfortunately, like I said, lost all that momentum. Unfortunately, Todd Merkel, he gets into the back of him, and there's Chris Matthews, nowhere for him to go. And there's Kevin's doppelganger in that other PPG car. I believe that was the 60 of Joseph Morales. I think that was, trying to see who else was caught up in that one as well. I think that may have been, was that John Brill? I think I saw John Brill caught up here as well somewhere. So yeah, unfortunately, a lot of cars again caught up in these ones, and it may have been another connection issue, Steve, where we saw that kind of that warp issue. I think that's what we saw there for a lot of those guys. So unfortunately, we've got a lot of drivers unfortunately having to take toes back into the pits. Looks like Todd Merkel, Kevin DeBrown, Chris Matthews, John Brill, I believe as well. So I say a lot of cars unfortunately going to be in a tough spot here with that one. And I believe kind of a mixed bag here on the pit side of things, though, Steve. So we're going to be, again, kind of a mixed strategies here of who's staying out and who is going to go ahead and pit. And I believe it's going to be David Leclerc who's going to be that Lucky Dog Battle winner in that number 50 car. So he's going to get back onto the lead lap here.
Kyle, I'm looking at Kevin DeBrown's in-car. And it's almost like he blew his engine or something. He goes into how it's got the colored lights on the steering wheel. His just start to go all the way down, disappear, and eventually they're all off before he gets hit.
Okay, and again, we got some great insider info. Say Dale Knott, one of our series admins, also my broadcast partner on Sunday evenings. It sounds like we talked about the connection issue we saw with the 47 car, and apparently that blink from the 47 actually basically for Kevin basically put him in Kevin's car, damaged the car, and so that basically just broke the car, like you said, almost like the car just shut off. And so I think, unfortunately, Kevin just was in the wrong spot with that connection issue for the 47. And nothing Kevin could do there, just unfortunately the innocent bystander for what we've seen with a couple of drivers tonight with some connection hiccups.
And that's a shame because Kevin's already used his first his only quick repair, I believe.
Yeah, you're right. No, I think that's unfortunately going to be an early exit for the 93 car. He's had a lot of pace these first two races, just hasn't had the luck to show it. And we have to add on to the list of hats for Dale is also spotter as well. So So he's series admin, he's a broadcast partner, and also a spotter and a driver as well. So he's a man of many hats here with Area 51 Racing League.
Multi-talented.
He has all the talents. I do not have those. All right,
So
Steve. We got a mixed bag on pit stops here, sir.
Yeah, we have. I guess some people didn't pit.
Yeah, so right now we've got the top 8 drivers did not pit, and it looks like the first of those that did pit under this yellow is going to be, I believe, Henry Bennett and John Brill will be the first 2 of the pit stop drivers. Saying we talk about Chris Jabot, he did top off on that last caution, so he had a little bit more fuel. I think, like we talked about, he's opting for that track position, so I'll have to see how this restart's going to go. We're going to be restarting on lap 34 here, Steve. So I'll say right at the 3rd distance mark in this one, so about 66 to go at the line. And we are going to see Matt Wagner lead the way here, has control of the restart, and he is down and away as we get back to green.
And we did have a little bit of accordion going on, but those guys left enough of a gap that there's no problem with people running into each other.
And that's exactly us saying. I think that's lessons well learned, and saying also just them heeding the warning of the admins. We've seen what's happened before, and he's able to adjust it and improve from it. So you see Matt Wagner, he's able to hold the lead a little better this time. He's able to actually get to turn 3 with the lead. So now the question is for Jeff Heisong, does Jeff maybe try to start making some moves and do the leapfrog? And as I say that, yes, he does. I was curious to see if Jeff is going to make Matt be the one to burn that extra fuel or not in that number 11 car. Saying we got some competition on the Area 51 paint schemes here. We've got the 11 and the 51. I'm relatively familiar with the guy that painted both of those cars. So yeah, so right now I'd say these guys starting to do that leapfrog game again. And Charles, yeah, we miss you, sir. Hope you're enjoying the weather in Minnesota. I don't know if it's going to be how it compares to where you are in California, but yeah, I definitely miss you seeing you here on track. But love that you're able to watch and support the league and us here as well. But definitely look forward to seeing you back out on track as soon as possible. Now we kind of got that same breakaway here again, Steve. Right now, Chris Jabot, kind of the caboose, if you will, of this lead pack. And I believe it's going to be Henry Bennett leading that second group here. So I'll say Henry's going to have to, again, try to hustle that car to see if he can get to the back of that number 24, which he's about 1.3 seconds off of him. So I'm going to try to play with some of my toys here, Steve. We're going to look at the pit strategies for some of these drivers here. And so you can see right now for most of these guys, everybody's in the same strategy for this top 8 here. I can find some more info to play with. So I was hoping it was going to show more than the top 8, but you can see Chris Jabot, the one driver that's in that different strategy there with the 1 extra lap. So we'll see if that comes into play or not tonight. Oh, and actually I'm backwards. Chris pitted 1 lap earlier. I apologize. He pitted on lap 17. Everybody else pitted on 18.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing also.
However, up front it is busy again, Steve. You can see everybody starting to kind of group back up together. And again, though, you see that little bit of a connection issue. And I'll say after what happened with the 47, you know that everybody's going to be a little bit more on alert about it, probably a little bit more nervous about it as well. So we'll have to kind of keep an eye and see. Hopefully that doesn't come into play, but I'll say, but right now, I'll say some of those drivers are working their way forward. Aiden Hill, you see he's actually now worked his way to the front here, working underneath the 89 of Nick DeGroot. He's going to get a lap lead in that 47 car. Matt Wagner going to try to follow along in that 11. So right now, I'd say we've got about, I would say, looks like about a solid 10, almost 15 cars in this lead pack. Looks like about 13 here with John Brill in that group as well.
So now we have all the guys. We got a bunch up front that are light on fuel with older tires, and we got new tires and heavier on fuel that just caught them. So
oh, we got one up against the wall there as well, trying to catch through that. So I believe that is it's the 90 of John Brill. I was just mentioning him there. As they caught a little bit of the wall. I think he's going to be okay, but you can see definitely does not have the pace that he had earlier. So he's going to try to see if he can limp this thing along a little further. Hopefully he's able to make, hopefully just momentum loss. So we'll have to wait and see there. Oh, also getting some more info from Dale here, Steve. So apparently these cars are hitting so much speed right now. They're actually hitting the chip in the draft. So That's gonna be interesting because that's gonna limit kind of the leapfrog we talked about. Like that big run you get, it's gonna be probably a little bit limited. Say just because once you get that huge run, at some point you're gonna hit that chip and you're not gonna get that top end. And actually, oh, just saw Gary Corley. Looks like he had to jump to the pits there in the number 7 machine. So we missed an issue for the 7. See if I can go back and find what happened to Gary here.
Interesting about the chip, because that did not happen to me in practice, but I think the biggest pack I was in was maybe 6 other cars.
Yeah, I'm watching Gary Corley here. He's up at the top right now in that number 7 machine. Oh yeah, just caught the wall there off of 2, and then I think just had to try to see if he could find a way to try to get off track safely there. And so I say, unfortunately, that's what burned Gary, and so I say he had to take a tow. So unfortunate for Gary, not what he was looking for there. So we'll jump back up front though, because it's hard to get away from this pack up front because these guys are just going at it tooth and nail right now.
Well, Henry Bennett has made it up to 7th, and that is the farthest ahead, the farthest forward of anybody on new tires.
Yeah, you're right. Say Henry Bennett, he's been able to make the most progress of these guys, and whether or not I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing here right now, Steve, because I mean it is getting pretty busy. And again, the next question is, we talked about the fuel window, possibly in the mid-20s, maybe a little more if they can stretch a bit out of it. I'll say with them pitting on lap number 18, us on lap number 43 right now, we are not too far away from that potential green flag pit stop. So I'll say Henry's going to be on his toes, because I think this is going to be a big make or break portion of this race, is whether or not, I'll say, because this is a very difficult pit entry. Even as wide as this track is, that banking transition, that's where things really kick off. Oh, you see Chris Jabot loose there off of 2. I think just somehow hung on to it. Great hands by that number 24 car to keep that car in one piece. As I believe he's also out of fast repairs, so he's able to keep that car alive and fight, kind of live to fight another day there. So great hands to Chris there.
Well, that was a great save.
So let's see if I can get one more quick look at it here before we kick the pit stops off. And yeah, you see Chris right there in that 24 car. Just, I mean, that's over 45 degrees straight to the wall. Out, as I say, that caution is out. Oh, Matt Wagner looks like might be involved in this one. Let's go ahead and see what's happened to the number 11 car. He was in this lead pack here, Steve. So I'm watching here. He's on the inside line. I'm wondering maybe just got a little too low. And I'm watching that seam here, Steve. That's one of the danger points we talked about. That very bottom seam. And I think, yep, that's exactly where he was, Steve. He was just straddling that seam. And unfortunately, that's going to send him around here. The question is, who else unfortunately gets going to get caught up in this one?
I don't think anybody did.
I'm watching, and man, who was that just snuck by there? I think that may have been either Eric Schaus or Benjamin Combs. I'm not sure which of them. No, it wasn't Eric Schaus. I think it's Benjamin Combs that just snuck by there. Let's go back. We'll watch from Benjamin Combs' point of view here, see if that was him or not. I think that's too far forward. That's going to be someone else. I think it might be Alec Coates here. Let's take a look.
I think Chris Jabot in the next pack also had a little bit of a scare.
We'll ride full speed here with it. You can see how quick it happens and keeps it off the wall as well. And you mentioned Chris Jabot. We'll take a look from his point of view. Oh yeah, he just had to sneak to the inside there. So you're right. Somehow single car incident, which in front of the pack like that, great job by everybody able to get around that. So now the question is, I believe we're going to see a very busy pit road here, and sure enough, yep, here come all the leaders for the most part.
So basically, even the guys who had just pitted not too long ago are pitting again.
Yes, I believe you're correct. And it looks like Craig Forsyth is the lucky dog in the 27 car, so that's going to put him back on the lead lap. And so now we're going to watch this battle out of the pits. And so we'll see if Henry Bennett, does he pull any strategy? Nope, he's going to take tires and fuel. No strategy there. So it's going to be Aiden Hill winning the race off of pit road. And he's going to take point here again. So say great, so far so good for that number 47 car, having a really good run tonight. And so now the question, of course, is going to be strategies for those that may have been trapped a lap down. Eric Schaus, he does not opt to, he did not stay out to try to get that wave round. He is going to go ahead and pit. And I believe we have 2 drivers. So actually, no, I'm sorry, 1 driver. It's going to be Alec Coates. So say he just snuck by that incident there. I'll say Alec's going to say, you know what? I dodged a bullet here. I'm going to go ahead and get that wave around, get back on that lead lap, and see if I can maybe get that timely caution.
If Eric pitted, I'm guessing he must have been close to out of fuel and probably didn't have much choice.
Yeah, it's a balance. I mean, you have to, because you worry. It's like, okay, well, if I pit under green, I know I'm going to lose a lap here. So, say for Eric, I mean, at this point, he's still got some guys. He's got to battle for that lucky dog position still as well. I believe he's got Chris Matthews, Todd Merkel, and Joseph Morales. I believe those are going to be the 4 battling for that lucky dog position. So yeah, so I say definitely all is not kind of like, all, yeah, it's not set in stone for him. So he's going to have to still work this a little bit.
Wonder if Matt had that thing that I experienced earlier, because he was so close to the apron, and like I had described it, it's almost like something just grabs your car and throws it towards the apron.
Yeah, so, and I had a similar thing on the race I did a few weeks back with the same setup and everything. I entered very similar the way that Matt did there, and I think just straddling that first seam, there's enough baking difference that it just really upsets the car. So I think that's what we may have seen there, and it looks like we're having a few drivers pull some strategy here, Steve. I see Craig Forsyth, Matt Wagner, they're still in the pits. I think their thought here is maybe try to max out the fuel here, because we're going to be restarting on lap number 49, which I think will still put us pretty safely in the window, or maybe they have some damage that they are still having to deal with on those cars potentially.
My guess is Matt's damage was light enough that he decided not to use his faster pair, so he's probably fixing damage.
That is a very good potential, Steve. So, however, we're going to be restarting here again, coming to lap number 49. It's going to be Aiden Hill leading the way in that number 47 car in front of Nick DeGroot, Jack Wallace, David Payton, and Jim Brooks are the top 5. Right now, pretty much everybody's on equal footing now, tires and fuel, as we go back to green here with just under the halfway point.
And I would say that probably with a little bit of fuel saving, that everybody's going to be able to make it with just one more stop.
Yeah, I feel like this is probably one-stop territory for most of these guys at this point in the race. So I think you're exactly right there, Steve. I think that's going to be probably the strategy for a lot of these guys. Oh, saw one up in the wall. I think that might be David Leclerc in the 50. Yep, it is. He's stuck up against the wall trying to wait to get it off until all the cars clear by. And he does. You can see he's going to try to possibly duck off. Yeah, so he's going to duck off here. I think take a tow. I think that may unfortunately also be the end of his race. I believe he had already used his one faster pair. So unfortunately, that's going to knock him out of the running this evening as well in that 50.
And we're back to playing leapfrog up front.
Yeah, I'll say it is busy. So now you got Jack Walls leading there in the 83 as there goes Aiden Hill. He's going to work back to the inside. Say David Payton, he was kind of just cruising, I feel like, earlier, but now you see he's starting to work his way forward again. Not wanting to ride too much there in that number 38 car. Say Jim Brooks still in that mix as well, Jeff Heisong, Henry Bennett. So, like I said, I think the first couple cars, we'll see a lot of that, the leapfrog action that we've mentioned. But I think a lot of these guys in the back, you see everybody's kind of progressively moving higher, trying to find the clean air on the front wing of these cars. Oh, contact between the 83 and the 47. That's going to put him in the hole. Oh, a lot of cars getting involved in this one, Steve. Another big wreck here. I think I saw it's going to be David Payton's one of those involved. I think I saw Jim Brooks and or Henry Bennett also getting caught up in this one. I think it kicked off between the 83 and the 47. I think I saw some damage to the 51. Yeah, you see the front nose cone just hanging off the 51 car. If that's just cosmetic, he could get that fixed without a faster pair. Let's go back and let's take a look at that contact between the 38 and the 40, or say the 83 and the 47 here. So you see him here entering turn number 1. Aiden's to the outside, Jack to the inside. And unfortunately, well, actually, no, they didn't make contact there. Yeah, it's just they kind of were fighting for the same real estate, really, Steve. I can't really say if one moved up more than the other moved down. They just kind of unfortunately met in the middle. And you see her there. That's where Jim Brooks got into the back of David Payton. Was in process of trying to avoid that incident. And so, unfortunately, that's where those two got their contact. And yeah, you see Henry Bennett also getting some pretty good damage. And Eric Schaus with some big drift moves here, just trying to see if he can sneak around that there as well. So, a lot of cars caught up again in this one, Steve. So it's going to be very interesting to see kind of who's going to kind of suffer the worst from this, unfortunately.
That was a shame for David Payton because he had that thing missed.
Yeah, no, he's in good spot. Just I say these things going so quick in such a short amount of time. Yeah, just didn't work out for David. Just unfortunate contact from the back there. So pit road has opened. So it looks like Jari Brupacher, Bud Steele are in. Alec Coates is in. And I think we're going to see a lot of those drivers that did get caught up in that one as well go ahead and hit pit road. And one, let's see, I'm a little confused. Let me go back up front. Because surprisingly, the 51 of Jim Brooks did not pit here, Steve. I'm not sure if he's aware of the damage he has to that car. Now, I mean, unless it's different on our end, but I mean, that nose cone's just hanging off to the side, and he's got no front wings at all. So, a little nervous about this one for that 51 car if what we see is accurate.
And I can't imagine how he wouldn't have damage as hard as he ran into David Payton.
That's a good point as well. Yes, I mean, we were looking from the back right now of Jeff Heisong. You can see all the front nose cone damage to that car. So yeah, so I'll have to keep an eye. This could get dicey if he stays out here. Hopefully, one of the other drivers or admins is able to kind of mention, like, hey, you may have thought you missed it, but you definitely did not miss that one.
Yeah, and I'm looking through his cockpit, and he definitely would not be able to tell that his front end is messed up.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's the thing, is you don't always know. So yeah, hopefully he's able to be told and informed. But he is staying out here, Steve. So
oh boy,
this is gonna make turn 1 very treacherous. I do need to try to see if drivers back on the lead lap here. Still showing Eric Schaus 1 down in that number 72 car. So I say I'm not 100% sure who got the lucky dog there. I believe it's actually the 60 of Joseph Morales. I believe Joseph was able to get that free pass and get back onto the lead lap in that number 60 car.
Okay, so I think I'm seeing the same thing that you are with Jim Brooks's car. There's no front wing, and the nose cone is just dangling.
Yeah, so I think on this restart we're going to be focusing on that 51, not for the reasons we want to, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that car is not going to be turning into turn 1, and yeah, this could be a very bad turn of events for this 51 car here, and entering turn 1 here as we're on lap number 55. Going to restart on 56. And fuel into again, Steve. Nobody can make it at this point. Everybody's going to be about 20 laps short, but this definitely puts everybody in that one-stop window. Now it's kind of all about just that how little fuel do you want to put in that car in your final pit stop.
Yep. I am not liking what's going to happen with Jim Brooks' car.
I am very nervous myself as well. So, Jack Walls, Nick DeGroot, Jeff Heisong are the top 3. Then you got Jim Brooks, Benjamin Combs, Chris Jabot, Bud Steele are up to 7th, and Jari Brupacher, Matt Wagner, Alec Coates are the top 10 as Jack Walls drops and is away. Like I said, we're going to keep an eye on that number 51 of Jim Brooks. Like I said, Steve and I, we see the same thing. There is definitely some damage to that car. And you can see he's definitely off the pace. I think at this point, probably going to be realizing that car is not what he's thinking it's going to be. So, but right now is able to keep it at least on the track here. So we'll keep an eye and see if he is able to realize, hey, there's more going on here than I realized. We'll see if he hits pit road this time by or not.
I suspect he probably will. Oh, I think the nose cone just fell off. No, I guess it's still there.
Yep, here he comes, hits pit road now in the 51. So this, it's unfortunate to say, just like you said, Steve, just wasn't aware of the damage to that car. So now he has to hit pit road under green, which is going to definitely put him a lap down in that 51 car. May or may not even have, maybe didn't have a fast repair remaining. Not sure there. So we'll keep an eye and see if he does get back out on track or not. But right now, though, it's going to be Jeff Heisong now taking the point in that number 18 machine.
He have a fast repair, so he is already down and away.
However, he's going to get trapped a lap down here, Steve, and that's unfortunate. I don't know where I say, like I said, just unfortunate, some bad communication. Maybe thought he didn't have the damage, but yeah, so he's back out on track here. But again, now trapped a lap down. He's with a lot of other cars as well, so he's going to be in a tough fight here the rest of the way.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a shame because he could have had that completely fixed and stayed on the lead lap.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, you even had the opportunity as well to get the, if it was just wing damage, could have just got that repaired manually and saved that fast repair still to the end. So, yeah, so right now, though, we're on lap number 59, just about to get to that 40 to go mark. So right now you see the top four again. Nick DeGroot now leading Jeff Heisong, Jack Walls, and Benjamin Combs now up into fourth. Finding his way up into that top five, that number 24, Chris Jabot. He's up now in the top five. Bud Steele right behind him. And then as we see the pack again starting to start slowly but surely here, close back up to this group. So we're gonna have another big pile of cars here in just another couple laps.
And here comes Matt Wagner in that second group. So Matt has recovered quite well from his little mistake.
Yeah, I'll have to see if Matt's going to be trying to do the drive through the field twice thing. Last week he was able to get the win by 0.02 of a second. Maybe see if he can kind of lightning strike twice, if you will, in that 11 car, maybe make the same thing happen again. So right now he's in the 7th position, working over Jari Brupacher here. So right now these two side by side towards the front. And saying the Lucky Dog battle, Steve, at the moment, I believe, is going to be advantage to Todd Merkel right now in that number 81 car. He is currently the highest running of those one lap down. However, right behind him, I believe, not too far back, is that 72 of Eric Schaus as well. So we'll have to kind of keep an eye and see how the strategy and how the fight's going to kind of unfold for that Lucky Dog position.
Chris Jabot, he made a power move to the outside and got up to 4th and almost up to 3rd. He's definitely working the outside right now. Yeah,
saying, I mean, that's where at this point where he is, that's where you got to go here. So of course you have to be a little nervous because you have to know that guy to your inside is going to see you. Oh, as the contact in the back there, 2 cars around. I believe that is the 49 was one of those drivers, which is Jari Brupacher. And I'm trying to find the other one who that is. And I believe, caution is out from the incident. I'm trying to see who the other driver involved in that was. I believe it may have been Alec Coates. No, I don't think it was Alec. I'm trying to see who the other driver was. Unfortunately, I can't find it at the moment. We'll go back and we'll take a look, though. That does bring out the caution. You see the R with definitely some pretty severe left rear damage. It looks like actually it was indeed actually, I believe, Alec Coates. Yeah, Alec with, you see the right front damage to his, left rear damage to Jari. So I think we kind of have an idea of where that contact came about.
Jari, it appears, just got loose coming off of turn 2.
Yeah, watching Jari here on the outside there. And you're right, just kind of comes across, unfortunately. Nothing Alec could do there, just comes across the side of that 3 car. And then those two get hooked together and unfortunately find their way down to the inside. And saying this is one of those instances that we talked about with the in-race admin. Say iRacing would have never thrown a yellow for this incident because it was off the track, and so even though 2 cars had significant damage, so that's where that comes into play here. So that's going to put us back under yellow. And we've got a mixed bag of drivers pitting and staying out. And it looks like it's going to be most of the field here going to go ahead and pit, led by Nick DeGroot. But we're going to have, it looks like, Chris Jabot, Bud Steele, and Craig Forsyth staying out. As you see, there goes the 2 of Todd Merkel getting his lap back. But you see right behind them, though, there's that 51 Jim Brooks. We talked about that mistake he made. And unfortunately, it's going to keep him trapped a lap down with those 3 in front staying out.
And Eric Schaus, did he stay out or did he pit?
Eric Schaus, let's see, he also pitted there under this caution. So right now, the drivers one lap down are going to be Jim Brooks, Eric Schaus, Chris Matthews, and unfortunately now as well the 3 of Alec Coates. But I believe Alec is still sitting in the pits. I don't think he had a fast repair remaining, so this might be day end for him in that number 3 machine as well, unfortunately.
Who's leading the race?
Yep, Chris is going. We talked about he saw what happened last week when he went for the tires. He said, "You know what? I'm going to do the pit strategy. I want to stay out this time." So Chris Gerbeau going to take the point with Bud Steele, Craig Forsyth. But the big difference between them, though, Steve, is Chris pitted on last pitted on lap 46. It was lap 53 for Bud Steele, Craig Forsyth, and now this last lap for the other leaders, lap 63 for the remainder of the group here. So. Say Chris is going to be down a fair bit on the lap count to the guys around him, but probably still can make it on one stop. Might just have to make that last stop a little earlier than the rest of the field here.
Yeah, I think this potentially could work out considering that everybody still has to make one more stop.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's kind of that risk versus reward here. I mean, right now again we're on lap number 65, so. We're right around 30, right now 36 to go, going to restart with 35 to go. Everybody's going to be, I would say, at the best case scenario, Steve, probably about 5 laps short on field. Nobody's going to be able to go 35. Of course, there's those that are going to be kind of going full fuel save, see if there's yellows to try to stretch it. But for Chris, I mean, basically what he could do here is see if he can run 10 more laps, jump into the pits, and then from there he's good. He knows he's good to go to the end.
Yep, definitely. And as long as he probably won't come out on the lead lap, so he'll be a lap down, and he'll have to hope that everybody else has to pit under green too.
Yeah, that's the gamble right now that 24 car is going to be playing, is the fact that he's going to be pitting anywhere from about, I would say, 7 to 17 laps earlier than the rest of the field here. Because like I said, say he last pitted on lap 46. These guys that just pitted now are lap 63. So it's a big range between the two of them.
The thing that you're hoping, if you're Chris Gerbeau, is that you get a caution just before you're about to run out of fuel.
That's always a very good potential. As you see, he's going to drop the hammer. He's back down to green. He's going to lead Bud Steele, Craig Forsyth back to green here. As I mentioned there, with 35 laps to go. He is going to be a little lighter on fuel, though, Steve, so we'll see if that's able to keep him maybe towards the front half of this pack here. So I think that's going to be part of his strategy. I think he's going to need to try to keep the clean air on the nose of that 24 car.
Anything like last week or a lot of other races with these cars, being light on fuel on older tires is not a disadvantage. So I suspect he'll be able to hang out here in the top 2 or 3, at least until he has to pit.
Yeah, as we'll see here. And as I said, we're going to go 3 wide for the lead. You've got Craig Forsyth to the inside, Bud Steele in the middle, Chris to the top, and Nick DeGroot's going to try to follow along as well. As you got to be careful about that dirty air as always. And it looks like coming out of it, Bud Steele's going to take the point here. And somehow Chris Gerbeau gets a big run there off of 2 down the backstretch. He's going to try to take the point back, entering 3.
A great move from 4th all the way to 1st.
Yeah, this is one of those times where maybe try to find the moves and make the runs you need to get to kind of put yourself in the right place at the right time. See what works once we get to those closing laps. But I'll say right now, again, be watching the battles up front, and of course the battle for the Lucky Dog. Right now it's still sitting, I believe, with Eric Schaus for the moment. But I believe that last time by, I think Jim Brooks may have just snuck around him for that Lucky Dog position. So that's going to be the other battle we talked about. If we get that yellow, it's going to be between, at the moment, we've got 4 cars here. Or actually, I'm sorry, 5 cars. Eric Schaus, Jim Brooks, Chris Matthews, Alec Coates, and Jari Brupacher will be the 5 drivers trying to get that Lucky Dog position.
These guys are having a heck of a battle up here at the front.
Yeah, they really are. I say right now it's Bud Steele leading the way for the moment. We'll see if he's able to hang on to it. Right now, again, we haven't really been able to see anybody hold a lead for more than about a lap or half a lap. As I say, here goes Craig Forsyth. He's going to work his way to the inside. He's going to take the lead off of 4. But then again, you can see the big run there. It's Nick DeGroot with a huge run here. He's going to peek to the inside, almost 4 wide here, Steve, entering turn number 1. And they just somehow make it work. And I think they were just for a moment there 4 wide between Nick DeGroot, Craig Forsyth, Bud Steele, and Chris Jabot.
And it's interesting watching Chris Jabot up there because he seems to be very comfortable in the high line, and it's working pretty well for him. And I think the other guys are kind of more tending to the low line.
Yeah, it does seem that way. And again, I'm watching that battle for the lucky dog position. You see actually that now the only car on the inside line, Eric Schaus there. He's now the first car one down in that number 72 car. As I say that, you see one peek into the inside. I believe that was Jeff Heisong. And so Eric's kind of in between a rock and a hard place here. Wants to stay in the lead lap, wants to be that first car one down. As I see some big moves here with Jack Walls and Nick DeGroot there down the front stretch. I think these things are starting to get a little bit dicier up with this front pack.
I'm really surprised that they're racing as hard as they are when they all still have to make another pit stop.
Yeah, it seems like everybody's really trying to fight hard here for this track position. We're getting very close right now, Steve, to that magic window. We're on lap number 72 right now. So give it about 5-6 more laps, and that's going to put us in that window to the end. I think comfortably to the end, I should say. Of course, the one we'll be watching for that first pit stop is going to be the 24 of Chris Jabot, last pit on lap 46. And then the next group that'll be pitting would be Craig Forsyth, Bud Steele. They're the ones that pitted about 7 laps after that number 24 car.
So Chris probably can't go too many more laps before he has to pit.
Yeah, I suspect Chris will be pitting very shortly. I think it's going to be probably right around that 25 to go windows. We cross now 27 to go here at Michigan. So like you said, though, for Chris's strategy here to work, though, he's going to need to pit, and then he's going to need the rest of these guys to cycle through and make their pit stops as well. So it's going to be very intriguing to see kind of how this all pans out because, like I said, it's a gamble, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So for him, he's hoping that these guys are able to keep it green through the pit stop cycle, which we haven't had the green flag pit stops yet, but we're very familiar with seeing them here in the Area 51 series. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And mention Eric Schaus again. He's still right in this lead pack. He's got Jim Brooks kind of peeking to his outside. But right now, Eric is in that lucky dog position. Should we get that yellow? On the fuel side of things, I believe they are all on the same strategy, the 72, the 51, and company. See now Jack Walls had the lead for a moment, but then there again goes Nick DeGroot. He's going to jump back to the inside line. And you see Bud Steele's right there as well. Chris Jabot back to the inside. So, all right, Steve, we're at that magic number. I feel like 25 to go. So, again, the first car we'll be watching is going to be that 24. We don't know for sure when his pit stop is going to be. But I say that, of course, the next thing for him is he's going to have to make sure that these guys around him are aware of it. That way he can have a safe entry to the pit. So like right there, you saw Bud Steele kind of peeking to the inside. Actually, as I say that, Bud Steele, he's going to be the first gambler, Steve. He's going to be pitting here, coming to 24 to go in that number 6 car.
Bud Steele had last pitted at lap 54.
So this is a strategy call by Bud Steele here. He wants to basically pit once he's in his window. Of course, then he's going to have to hope that everything cycles through under green without getting a caution flag. So this is the gamble by Bud here. He's going to pit that a little bit earlier than he had to. As I see a couple cars thinking maybe, nope, they stayed out here again. And, close there off of 4 there between Chris Jabot and Jack Walls. You see, there's that bobble you talked about, Steve. You can see the 24 car just having that little bit of a bobble here. As he's able to hang on to it, but you know that car was definitely not feeling comfortable right there when that was happening.
Thinking that too. Chris just keyed up. I have a feeling he's getting ready to pit.
So what we'll do here is we will watch this pit stop for that number 24 car so you can kind of get a feel for what he has to do here getting down to pit speed. Yeah, you can see he's definitely starting to woe it down here. Cuts it left. Now he's got to get down to the pit speed limit right before that cone, right to the side of it. And I think he's going to have a clean entry there. So now, like I said, now his next goal first is going to be, of course, trying to have a clean pit stop, clean exit. And then it's going to be see where he comes out in relation to the rest of the field. And of course, I think the main competition for him, he's going to be watching to see where he comes out in relation to Bud Steele. And as I say, there's a spin off the back there. I believe it was John Brill. We stay green for the moment. We'll see if they throw a caution or not. And so far, we stay green. John's grabbed the gear, and he's back away. So I think we're going to get away with that one. I think that's going to be a big benefit for that number 24 of Chris Chabot.
Yeah, the other thing is he has to hope that he's going to have someone to draft with here.
Yeah, so I'm trying to see where he's going to come out in relation to the field. And right now, he's kind of off on his own here, Steve. Just off the tail of this lead pack. He's got some guys coming up behind him. So I want to see where Bud Steele is in relation to him, and I think it looks like he has actually won this battle so far. So say if he can get caught by these guys behind him, which I believe includes the 92 of Chris Matthews, and I'm trying to say I think it's the 60 as well as in that group also here. So there's a few cars here that he's hoping that maybe he can kind of team up with.
Alec Coates, Joseph Morales.
Oh, I see some smoke. John Brill down to the apron. I think he's able to get off track, so I think, again, we'll stay green. That was a close call for the leaders. But I say so far we still stay green here. As I say right now, you see Eric Schaus, actually, he's going to say, you know what? I'm just going to go get my lap back the old-fashioned way here. So right now, Eric Schaus tail end the lead lap in that number 72 car, as now he leads Nick DeGroot, Craig Forsyth. So we've definitely had a couple of close calls here right off the bat, Steve, but like I said, they were able to stay off track. Those are probably incidents that would have thrown a yellow normally, so say the race director trying to keep this thing green, let the strategies play out here. So say it's going to be, at this point, it's going to be a benefit for drivers like Chris Chabot, Bud Steele, to see if their strategies pan out for them or not. I say watching lap times, last time by Chris Chabot ran a 32.98, leaders were 32.71. So his lap time isn't too far off pace of the leaders, so we'll just see if that comes into play or not. Well, I think here comes Craig Forsyth. I believe he's going to be pitting now in that 27 car. He's going to try to get down into pit speed. I think, again, just gets it done there. So Craig going to be the third of our lead pack here to pit, coming to 17 to go there.
So if you're Craig and if you're Chris Chabot, you're hoping that these two guys are going to be close to each other once Craig comes back out, so that they both have someone to draft with.
Yeah, saying that's going to be the strategy, to see kind of who cycles in relation to the other driver where. So and say right now a lot of these guys looks like they're just going to run this thing as far as they can before they make their final stop. So trying to keep an eye on Craig to see, he's just now leaving the pits. You're going to see him just for a moment. There's leaders go on by him. So that's going to be Craig put a lap down for the time being. And like I said, we'll have to see where does Craig now come out in relation to Chris Chabot. That's going to be the next battle. And it looks like Craig, actually, he's going to get a great pit stop here, Steve. I think he's going to separate himself nicely from Chris Chabot, actually. Because right now Chris is a little further back, but he is in a big group of traffic here. So say he's going to have to hope that they can start doing that leapfrog game and work their way forward. But right now, though, say advantage, I'd say, is going to go too close there off of 4. Advantage is going to go right now to Craig Forsyth, especially if he can just grab the tail end of this draft here. Craig might be in the catbird seat.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. The question is, can Chris, with the help of the 3 cars behind him, be able to catch up to Craig and the lead pack? If he can't do, I think he's pretty thick.
And I think Craig is going to do it, Steve. I think he's just close enough. He's going to grab the back of this lead pack. I'm going to watch his lap time this time around. And he ran a 32.02 compared to leaders 32.4, so about 0.4 of a second quicker. Chris Chabot 31.86, so Chris is definitely also trying to hustle that car. However, looking at the interval between himself and Craig Forsyth, it looks like sitting currently at about 4 seconds.
Didn't you say that Craig had done a 32.0?
Yes.
That's almost a full second faster.
Oh, am I mathing wrong?
No.
Math has never been my strong suit. So Todd Merkel, he just hit the pits as well, Steve. And so yeah, so we talked about. So right now, I mean, yeah, Craig Forsyth, he is in a very good position here, Steve. And he's not content to ride here. He's going to work his way forward. He's got fresh tires. So he's got to be careful here, of course, not making any moves too risky. But I mean, if he can actually, this is actually a big potential here, Steve, because if he can get his lap back here before, if there's a yellow, if he can get his lap back here, he would cycle all the way around back to the front and not even have to worry about that wave around potential as well. So I think that's why we're seeing this aggression right now out of that 27 car.
Definitely.
So far, the rest of the lead pack has not blinked yet for their final pit stop. We got 12 to go, coming around to 11 to go, and here comes Craig Forsyth. He has got all the way up to Jeff Hisong, as here comes Nick DeGroot. Just saw him hit pit road. He's going to drop it down to speed, and he's going to make his final stop of the race, as does Alec Coates. He drops in as well. And so we'll jump back to the front here, because it looks like there goes Craig Forsyth, just able to clear Jeff Hisong. So that's going to move Craig now to the tail end of the lead lap. And like I mentioned, if a caution comes out, that is crucial for him. And look what he's doing there, Steve. He's trying to pick up the 72 of Eric Schaus there to make sure he's got a little bit of a buffer room in case of something happening. He wants to make sure he can pull that car, who's also a lap down. But as I say that, here comes Jeff Hisong in the 18 car. He's coming down to make his final pit stop, as we got 10 to go here at Michigan. All right, so right now, I think we're going to be watching some leapfrog. Oh, and look, here comes out of the pits. Look at that stop there by that 89 of Nick DeGroot. He has actually gotten out in front of the lead pack, and I think he went strategy, Steve. I think he took fuel only. It was a 5-second pit stop, 5.7-second pit stop for Nick DeGroot. And I think that was all just for the fact of trying to avoid getting trapped a lap down. So he's going to be on older tires. But he's able to get out of the pits and get out in front. And you see here comes Jeff Hisong. He's going to be right in the thick of this as well. It looks like a good pit exit for him. So it is all to play for here, Steve, as we're under 9 to go.
I think that may have been a smart move.
It's just going to be dependent on how the drivability of this car is in the dirty air. So here comes a few more. Looks like starting to get a little busier. Henry Bennett's in. Eric Schaus is in. And Jack Walls, I believe, is the other driver in. So that's going to be 3 more. So that's going to leave, I believe the last of the leaders here is going to be Matt Wagner. He's been able to stretch the fuel mileage in this 11 car. It's like he's probably heard you giving him crap before, Steve's like, you know what? All right, I'm going to start saving fuel. So now we're going to be watching to see how everybody cycles out in relation to one another here. It looks like Matt's going to go one more, Steve.
Okay, Matt did a 32.8 that last lap. He's not with enough cars. Oh, 32.0. Okay, he's all right.
And here, look, there goes Henry Bennett just now leaving the pit road in the 007. So that's now got Nick DeGroot, Craig Forsyth. They're starting to stretch that lead a little bit here, Steve. Well, I shouldn't say lead, but they're stretching the gap, I should say, over the guys behind. Say Jeff Hisong, he's the next one there right behind the 11 of Matt Wagner. And I believe I'm watching Matt see if he ducks in yet. Here comes our race leader. He's pitting here, coming to 6 to go. That's going to be Matt Wagner. That's going to complete our pit stop cycle. So right now, the battle for the lead potentially is going to be Nick DeGroot, Craig Forsyth. Jeff Hisong's right there as well. And we'll see. Right now, Henry Bennett, I think, is just too far out to be able to close in on these guys. So at the moment, it's looking like a 3-car battle. Just depends on where Matt Wagner comes out in relation.
Watching to see what he does. And I think we're going fuel only. Yep.
And he is down and away. So now it's all about his pit exit. Got to make sure he doesn't spin the tires. We'll watch him from the rear view as he gets up to speed. And so far, it's looking good, Steve. I think he's going to be able to hold this. At the very least, he's going to be in this lead pack here at the end, Steve. As he gets back up to speed, and he is going to come out. He's going to get up to speed. He's going to kind of merge in with these guys. So we're going to have, I think now at this point, it's going to be a 4-car battle. It's going to be Matt Wagner, Nick DeGroot, Craig Forsyth, Jeff Hisong are going to be the 4 battling out for the win here tonight.
We only have, like 6 laps left?
Crossing line here, we are now 5 to go. hopped on board here with Jeff Heisung in that 4th position. So now the question is tires versus no tires. The only driver in this lead pack that did take tires, I should say, is the 27 of Craig Forsyth. He pitted earlier, but he did take tires on that car, so we'll have to see, does that come into play? Does that car have a little bit more maneuverability than possibly the 89 and the 11 here? So now I think these guys are all going to start jockeying for position, putting themselves in the right place at the right time. They can't play around too much, Steve, because, again, Henry Bennett's still sitting in 5th, and last time by they were just a little bit quicker. It was Henry Bennett, Jack Walls in 5th and 6th. They're trying to work their way back up to these guys as they go 3 wide down the backstretch, trying to take the lead here.
I wonder if Nick DeGroot having nightmares from last week right now.
I mean, yeah, say if we stay green here, Steve, we definitely have the thousandths of a finish looking potential again here as we cross the line. There are 3 to go here at Michigan. And I say, I'm wondering right now, I'm watching Jeff Heisung. I don't think he's shown us his hand yet. I think he's waiting, letting these guys make their aggressive moves and see if he can capitalize on someone making the wrong move at the wrong time.
Definitely looks that way. And Craig Forsyth running up the middle right now.
Yeah, I say right now, and you can run the low side, I feel like, in 3 and 4, but 1 and 2, I get a little nervous about that inside line. Just the way it goes as we cross here. 2 to go here at Michigan. Right now, again, 4-car battle for lead, and it looks like it's going to stay a 4-car battle. Again, there are no there are no green-white checkers, so at this point, though, however it ends is going to be how it ends. Hopefully it stays under green. I say right now, I think these top 4 here probably really hoping to get to that white flag to race it out between them.
And it looks like Nick DeGroot is probably trying to protect the inside line. I noticed that Craig Forsyth had a run and had to go to the outside, but now he's jumping to the...
Oh, he got the crossover, Steve. He's able to go high, cut underneath, and we are going to get the white flag here. 1 to go at Michigan. Is it going to be Craig Forsyth, Nick DeGroot, Jeff Heisung, or Matt Wagner? You see Jeff Heisung, he's starting to work his way a little bit forward, and we'll watch Craig Forsyth. Does he protect low? He does. Oh, he gets loose. I'm not sure there's contact or not, but he saves the car. That's going to cost Nick DeGroot a little bit of momentum there off of turn 2. We'll see, does that open the door for Matt Wagner or Jeff Heisung here coming through 3 and 4?
Looks to me like Jeff Heisung has the momentum here.
Jeff Heisung going to peek to the inside line here, coming through the tri-oval at the line.
Oh
again, thousandths of a second of a difference here, and at the moment it's showing Nick DeGroot as the race winner. You see there, it's got 0.00. I don't have the 3rd decimal point, Steve. I have no idea who won this race. At the moment, though, I believe it's going to be Nick DeGroot. 2 photo finishes in a row, this time pulling off the win here at Michigan. All right, let's go. We'll watch Nick's celebration here up at Victory Lane. And we're going to go back and see what happened to Craig and Nick. And then we'll watch again in slow motion that finish at the end. But what a finish between those 3 drivers.
I mean, this is, I think it's even closer than last week.
So Nick's going to do everything at once here. He's just going to do the burnouts in Victory Lane here at Michigan. So I say we'll watch him celebrate there. And all right, Steve, let's go back. We're going to go back and see what happened to Craig there at the very end. See if there was potentially contact or not. So we're watching as they come out of turn 2. Craig is trying to protect the inside line. And no, Craig just gets loose, Steve. I think he just was on that seam and tried to keep it pinned low. And unfortunately, as they just stepped out from behind him. But again, just look at the hands, though. He's able to control the wheel, control the brakes, get it back in the right direction. Still's going to finish in 6th, loses a couple spots to Jack Wells, Henry Bennett. But now we're going to jump back to the finish here with these 3 drivers at the line. And I'll say I'm going to try, Steve, to see if I can time it as quick as I can. Because these guys, again, putting on an amazing battle between them all.
I don't even know how it figured out who won this race, because I'm looking at it, and it looks like they hit the start-finish line at the same time.
And so we're going to watch from the point of view of Nick DeGroot here. And actually, I think we can do is we'll pull up on our restart camera here. So that's going to put us right at the finish line here. And again, I'll try to be quick on the draw to hit that pause the button once we get to the line as well. Because again, these guys are just something else this season.
The camera that's showing it best to me right now is TV1.
At the line. And you know what, Steve? That is going to be closer than it was last week because, oh man, depending on the angle where you're looking at, I mean, it looks like it could be Jeff Highsong at the line. Maybe split second before that, it's going to be the 89. But man, just what a finish though! Again, 2 weeks in a row. It was 2 thousandths of a second last week. This week, I'm like you said, Steve. I think it's even closer. But this time for Nick DeGroot, though, he's able to be in the right position this time. So we got to go. I'll say we could go over this all night long if we wanted to, but we got to start talking to some drivers here.
Okay. I want you to know on the iRacing standings page, last week it showed .002 as what Matt Wagner beat Nick DeGroot by. Right now it's showing Nick DeGroot beating Jeff Highsong by .000.
Well, we're gonna start off with our third place finisher, Matt Wagner. Say last week's winner by 2 thousandths of a second, but they decided, you know what, we're gonna one up you, Matt. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna make it even closer tonight with Nick DeGroot, Jeff Highsong. So you were right there. You were hundreds behind. It looked like maybe like a half a car length at most, but there was some big strategies there at the end. We saw you, Nick, and Jeff. You guys went fuel only. Craig pitted early. He took tires. Did you think that? What did you feel like was going to be the strategy to win this race tonight? I mean, just take us through that last stint, the last pit stop, and then of course that dash to the finish.
My whole strategy was to save as much gas as I could, and there will be less time in the pits. So it kind of worked out. I got a nice little lead when I came out, but unfortunately that draft is so strong, and them guys are going to catch me in a hurry. I say if I was better, I was about 2 seconds ahead, maybe had a shot. Maybe. I doubt it.
Did you hear Matt Wagner say that he was saving fuel?
Matt Wagner was saving fuel.
That was actually smart. Great strategy.
Yep, I was letting everybody get ahead of me, and it was quite the traffic jam in front of me. So I was just being patient, buying my time.
Change your fuel mapping at all when you were doing that, or just let off the gas some?
Change my fuel mapping.
So what do you think you could have done differently at the end?
I laid back just a little bit. I knew Jeff was planning something because I was looking in my mirror, and I said, I know he's kind of grinning over there and trying to get a run coming down, same as they did last week. And he got that run, and I got a little bit of a run. But I'd rather be in Jeff's spot, put it that way, where he was. Yeah. But if I was to change it, the roles were reversed, I wouldn't change a thing.
You guys gave us a heck of a battle. It was really fun to watch.
Oh God, I can go back and look at the replay. It was quite a little nutty race, and quite a few cautions. And my spin earlier. I bet you want to talk about that.
You don't we, Gael?
Well, as I say, we were joking. It's like, well, I think he's maybe try to make lightning strike twice there, say kind of do the spin recovery drive for the win, but. So you didn't quite get the win, but still, I mean, you get a top 3 finish. Say you're part of that photo finish as well. So say I'm guessing it's not the way you want to get these results here. It'd be nice to just kind of have a nice calm race all the way through. But that's I say the second week in a row though, you're able to make a great recovery. But I'm sure though, I mean, I did the same thing we talked about before in that practice race. It just you straddle that seam entering turn 1, and it's a light switch. It's just you have no chance to save it. So. The amazing part though is, I mean, you got through there pretty much unscathed. Everybody snuck on by you. You had a couple close calls. A few drivers had to make some pretty quick evasive action to avoid you, but so you're able to grab a gear and then get back going and making their charge at them.
I was unaware of how Aiden Hill drives. This is I think this is the first race I've been with him side by side, so I didn't know his intentions. So I got too close to that bottom side and just completely lost it. It's on me, 100%.
You recovered well though, worked your way back up into that lead battle, and went for the win there. I mean, that was just, yeah, again, just hats off. I mean, you guys, I say the strategies, I say we saw a big range of who pitted win, and then tires, no tires. It was, yeah, it was a blast to watch and be a part of. So, just let's say got a win last week, get a third place tonight. Say it's a good way to start off the season. Obviously, long way to go, but just yeah, great job, Matt. And definitely want to give you the floor though. Any thanks and shouts you'd like to give?
Oh, well, I don't really have much shouts. Actually, more like, I better keep that to myself. But shout out to you guys. You guys put on a great broadcast, and I really appreciate you. Kyle Ramsey for the great admin job tonight, and I really appreciate him. And Jim Brooks with the league. Oh, guys, what a hell of a race! I can't wait to do it again next week.
Yeah, so you guys are making a habit of these crazy finishes. Let's say if we get a finish of more than a car length difference between cars, we're going to start getting disappointed. So don't spoil us too much throughout this season.
All right. Yeah, I'll try not to drown in this good luck swing I'm in, but I'm just happy to be here.
No, it was well done, Matt. Well earned, and yeah, a lot of fun watching you guys. Just awesome job tonight, and we'll be looking forward to interviewing you again here in the future weeks.
Yes, you have yourself a great night.
You too, Matt. Great job.
All right, so now we got to jump over to our second place finisher by, I don't even want to guess how close it was here, Steve. That is going to be that number 18 of Jeff Highsong. We'll go ahead and pull him on in here as well. All right, Jeff, we were watching you towards the end of that race. You're just kind of cruising there and forth, and I told Steve, I was like, all right, I'm watching this 18 car because you know he's going to do something. He's not just going to be sitting there and riding all the way to the end. And you did not disappoint there. We were talking about last week. I mean, we're just like, oh, 2,000ths of a second. That's amazing. And tonight was one of those hold my beer moments. And I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing how close it was because I don't think you could put a piece of paper between the two nose cones of your guys' car.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the replay, it's super tight. That last stint there was a blast to run. These guys are great running clean. And yeah, after last week going yellow there towards the end, it was kind of a bummer because I had fresh tires and I knew if we went green, they all had to fuel save. So I kind of wanted to be up there in that 0.2 mix, but it didn't work out. So I'm glad this week it was able to get to the end.
Yeah, so take us through. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Steve.
I was going to say when you made that move under Nick coming off of turn 4, I said, man, he's got the momentum, and I thought you were going to get him. And when you hit the start finish line, it's impossible for me to tell which one of you guys actually won the race. What were you thinking?
Honestly, I didn't know when I came off of 4. I kind of looked over to the right and I saw that I had the run and I was like, okay, just keep it right here. And then I got there and I really couldn't tell. I kept looking at the relative to see who popped up.
Look on the standing screen on iRacing. It shows the difference between you guys is 0.000. So you're off in the decimal places somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the replay, you can't even tell. So, I mean, that was a blast. It was awesome racing. First or second, I can't really be mad.
Yeah, like I said, it's to have that kind of racing at the end. I mean, just hats off to all of you guys. You guys put on an awesome fight there at the end. We saw a mixed strategy there. We saw you, Nick, and Matt. You guys went ahead and you took fuel only. Craig Forsyth, he took tires on his final stop. Did you have any thoughts that of what might be the right strategy call, or were you thinking like the shortest the pit stop I can do, the better? And how tricky was it also getting out of the pits on that fuel only stop as well?
Ironically, I actually didn't have tires, but even if I did, I was not going to take them. Getting out of the pits, it wasn't that bad. I just cranked a little negative weight jacker and sent it and prayed.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think about the tire limit, Steve. So yeah, you're right. So even if you needed them, let's say you were kind of committed to what you had there at the end. But man, just awesome job tonight. I say it was so much fun watching you guys battle out. Like I said, it was kind of obviously kind of everybody going for it all before the pit stops, and that's kind of strung things out just a little bit. But then there's obviously the 4 of you then going after it on the last lap there at the end. So like I said, I mean, we'll go back. We'll look at it again. I mean, that's like I said, a piece of paper difference between the two of you guys. But I say, I'm sure, like you mentioned, it's like either way to have races like that, have that kind of result. It's always enjoyable regardless of the difference. So just great job, Jeff, and definitely want to give you the floor though. Any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that result tonight?
Big thanks to you guys in the coverage. It was kind of a bummer to see Craig go right there at the end. He got on the bottom and lost it. My heart goes out to him for that one. Just a big thank you to my wife and mother-in-law for watching the kids and support me through all this, and then all the boys back at turn 4. And yeah, that's about it. You guys and your great coverage.
Well done, Jeff. It's nice to see you. Kind of see you get the result that we know been a long time coming. A lot of guys kind of pointed to you like, yeah, keep watching Jeff. He's gonna get the breaks he needs. And say obviously tonight was one of those opportunities, and also plus 17 for you from your starting spot. So I think that puts you as our highest climber for the evening as well. So awesome job tonight, man, and enjoy that one. Look forward to catching you next week, sir.
Awesome, thanks guys. You have a good one.
Great job.
All right, Steve, that leaves us one driver left to talk to, and that is going to be our race winner, that number 89 of Nick DeGroot. Last week, it was 2 thousandths of a difference. Tonight, we don't even know how many thousandths of a difference it was, Steve. It looks like it's tens of thousands this time. I think we're going to have to rename you Mr. Photo Finish here, Nick. That's your first league, or your first 2 races in the series, 2 thousandths, less than that this time. I know last week you mentioned it's like either way you loved being part of one of the closest finishes in the league history. I'm gonna say this time there's pretty much no denying that is the closest finish in league history, and this time you on the top step of the podium tonight.
Yeah, I don't know how you can get any closer than that. 0-0-0. That is incredible and really crazy. I was looking at the finish afterwards and just seeing the very point of my nose cone just ahead of Jeff's. I mean, that's all it was, which is just crazy. I knew it was going to come down to probably a photo finish at Michigan, but that 3 wide, 0.001 of a second, that is just insanity.
It was an intense finish to watch between you 4 guys, and it was a shame that Craig got loose and dropped out, but you 3 just unbelievable. And I'm thinking, if I'm you after what happened last week, if I don't win this thing, I'm going to start to get a complex.
Oh yeah. Maybe I wouldn't have enjoyed the photo finish as much if I lost back-to-back weeks, but yeah, it was crazy coming to the white flag there. I was just debating about, do I want to be on that bottom or not? Because when I was on it battling Craig, I almost lost it out of turn 4. And then I give it to him, and lo and behold, he loses it out of 2. And that kind of just solidified my decision. I'm like, I'm not taking that bottom out of 4. I was worried that Jeff might edge me because of that, but I was more worried that I would wreck if I tried to hold that. So it worked out just barely, but it worked out. And hats off to Jeff for holding it down there too. He did a good job coming to the line.
Yeah, and as we know, it's like you said, that bottom line, it was definitely the treacherous place to be. Didn't matter if it was 2 or 4. I say even in the entry of 1, I say it just seemed like that bank, whatever it was, that banking difference between the first seam and then the two grooves there, if you will. There's just enough banking difference to really upset the cars there at the end. Or actually, I should say throughout the race. Was that something you were aware of, or during the race, like, okay, I got to make sure I'm running like very kind of deliberately how I'm going to be running these lines? Because it definitely seemed like if you ran a certain line, it definitely upset the cars tonight.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And every time I went down there, especially when I was making like a 3 wide pass or something like that and had to go down there, you couldn't sit on it, because that's when you would get in trouble. You had to just go straight across it. You could, if you tried to sit on it and hold it, which is what Jeff had to do there coming to the line, that's when you get into trouble. That's when it starts grabbing you and tossing you around. So it's really sketchy down there. And I'm happy that going into it, I knew about it. I was aware of that. Hey, don't mess with that part of the track unless you really, really have to, because it caught out a lot of drivers today, a lot of good drivers.
You get that feel on the front stretch that I had in practice, where the closer you get to the apron, the more it tries to pull your car down there.
Yeah, it's kind of a double whammy, because that seam can grab you and that apron can grab you if you get too close to it. So it's almost like it's almost like it's baiting you to go down there. It's like, hey, it's the fastest part on the track, but then you go down there and it's like, all right, I'm completely out of control. There's absolutely nothing I can do. So it adds a little wrinkle to this because Michigan, it's kind of wide open, just making passes, going 3, sometimes 4 wide, and I like that we had that little wrinkle in there with the bottom. Like, hey, this might be quicker. This may be quicker, but you may not make it to the next corner. So roll the dice.
Yeah, it was definitely dicey. And I mean, that was the racing tonight as well. You'd have maybe about a lap or lap and a half of a little bit of calmness with that leapfrog up front, and then of course once the tow brings everybody back into the mix. I mean, you guys are having 10, 15 cars within just pretty much inches of each other at various points in the race. Like you said, 3 wide moves. I mean, how busy were you behind the wheel tonight to try to keep the track position at times where you wanted to, or to roll back and just kind of think about the fuel numbers early on in the race?
Yeah, there was a point there when I just kind of chilled back in 5th or 6th because we had a nice little breakaway. But for the most part, my strategy was keep that thing up front, keep it in the top 2, top 3 as much as you possibly can. I never really wanted to fade back and go to the back of the field because that's when you get in trouble. I know Henry, I think, did that at some point, and he got caught up in someone else's mess. So I was figuring my best chance was to be up front. And even though I was up front, there was plenty of action there. We had that incident, I think, with Aiden entering turn 1 and he spins right in front of me. That was almost my race right there. So there's really no place that's safe, but I feel safest at the front of the pack trying to, control my own race. So it's just what I did and it worked out.
Yeah, definitely panned out nicely. Like I said, found a way to top last week's results of closeness, and of course the result for you as well, the right way around. Just hats off, Nick. I mean, that was so much fun watching you guys battle out at the end. Really good job to all 4 of you, actually all 5 of you, I should say. A lot of fun to watch that one. So obviously I'll be catching you next week. We'll be doing some lefts and rights over with Dark Horse. But before I let you go, though, we definitely want to give you the floor for some thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that win this evening.
Yeah, again, Factorback Motorsports, Covymore.com, Motorsport.com, Blaze Pods, the Ty Posbon Foundation. I'm looking at the car right now. We got lots of great sponsors that support this team. Oh, can't forget the family business, DeGruit Automotive Detailing U-Haul. That's always got to remember the family and hi to my family at home, as Scott Pruitt would say. But yeah, just awesome race. Happy to win. Want to do it again.
Well, I'll say won't be too long before you see it back in the wheel, behind the wheel of the 89 car. So yeah, just awesome job, Nick. A lot of fun watching you guys battle out. Enjoy this one, and we'll be talking again with you here soon, sir.
Thanks, guys. Looking forward to talking to you again.
Congrats on that win.
Thank you.
All right, Steve. That is our race winner, the number 89 of Nick DeGroot. Again, they find a way somehow week in week out to top their results and say they're gonna, at some point we're gonna get that result where it's like, oh man, it's not a 3 wide inches apart finish. What's going on with these guys? But just what a race though tonight. Before we go any further though, we got to pull up our final results. So let's say we'll pull, if I can get this show up like it's supposed to. There we go. All right, Nick DeGroot, race winner. As you can see, even on here, say Steve, say you go to the thousandths and it's 0.000. So you had to go to the 10 of the thousandths to figure out, and possibly more to figure out who won this race. I mean, look at Matt Wagner there in third. He's only 2.5 hundredths off of those guys as well. Jack Walls, he's going to bring it home in fifth. Fourth. Henry Bennett fifth. Craig Forsyth, great save. Still going to keep that car in one piece. Brings it home in the 6th position. Christopher Bowe, we saw him have to pit a little earlier. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get out with that lead pack. He finishes still up in 7th. Benjamin Combs in the 8th spot. You look at those guys too. They had looks like a photo finish between the 2 of them. And then Bud Steele, James Ledford rounding out our top 10 on the lead lap. And some of these drivers a lap or more down tonight are start off with Joseph Morales, Jim Brooks. Let's say pretty much I think is going to rue that pit decision not to pit when he had the front wing damage. Then you got Eric Schaus, Todd Merkel, Chris Matthews, Alec Coates, and John Brill. And unfortunately, 10 down, Yari Brupacher, not the night he was looking for. Was up front in contention early, but just unfortunately caught up in some incidents not of his doing. And the remainder of the field, so you've got David Payton in 19th. Aiden Hill was definitely one to watch this evening. Just unfortunately, that incident at the end kind of put him out of the running. You got David Leclerc, Gary Corley, Kevin DeBrown, Joseph DeCiro, and Don Runkle Jr., Todd Kirkwood rounding out our finishers for this evening. All right, Steve, that is Michigan. And again, I don't know how these guys week in, week out, how they do it, but at some point it's gonna be tough to top what these guys are able to do every week.
And I can vouch that these cars are not that easy to control, especially like I was describing on the front stretch where it just tries to suck you down onto the apron and spin you out. And these guys are going 2 wide and 3 wide for a lot of that race. Just impressive, the control that they have over these cars.
Yeah, it was a really impressive race, a lot of fun to watch and be a part of. But man, I mean, like I said, it's like what's next? I mean, I don't know how I didn't think they could one up last week, and then they do this week. So I think we got a lot of fun racing in store for us. We obviously have a lot of very competitive drivers here. I mean, some of our usuals that we expect to see up front are even having to push a little harder than I think they're used to doing. So I think it's going to be a very competitive and a lot of fun this season.
Definitely. I mean, there's a lot of talent throughout the field this year.
All right, Steve. So that'll do it for us. As always, love being up here in the booth with you. It's always a ton of fun. As I can't wait till next week. So for those of you watching, hope you enjoyed it. Again, like I mentioned, obviously always can catch us here on YouTube with Green White Checker TV. But as I mentioned before, with that Dark Horse partnership, you can find us as well on ESTV. It's streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Like I said, also check out their website, because if you ever want to watch it on one of your streaming devices like the Roku and things of that nature, they offer that as well. So a lot of opportunities to be able to watch us. I hope you all enjoyed it. Until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful evening and have a good night.
Night, everyone.